Hey everybody, it's Tim, and I just figured I would start a video series about the Slat and trying to finish the 1941 27 November Slat Grill number 101109. And I've already posted one video about it getting moved into my garage. So I figure I'd go back and tell the backstory on the vehicle itself that I have. And then from there, then I'll do a third part that'll be the unrestored vehicle as I found it, because it's really a great time capsule of a World War II motor pool vehicle that's fairly unmolested. I mean, it had some hard civilian use, but most of the original parts. If you're watching this in the fall of 2021 and you're on the MVPA, I would suggest you check out my video of me running through the MVPA board. Have some ideas in there. I just kind of hope you take a look at them. And even if you don't like me, you don't like, who I am or whatever, some of the video, some of the ideas on there, I think probably have some merit. If you enjoy these videos and enjoy the rest of the series, I suggest you maybe like and share them. If you don't like them, I would just keep your negativity to yourself. Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, so the Slat. I've already got a July 42 script GPW. That was my first vehicle. Shortly thereafter, I acquired a ton and a half Chevy 1940, very early production, which I ended up selling. That's the one that let get away. And then I bought a 1945 Dodge WC51. And then eventually I bought a replica Kuba wagon. And then eventually I sold the replica Kuba wagon and got into a WC8 radio car, which is an ongoing project. So I wasn't really, I was interested in doing a project myself. But the other thing is I just didn't want a standard Jeep. I've gotten a little spoiled with my early radio car, my early Jeep, and I just kept thinking to myself, if I'm going to do a Jeep, I want it to be something a little different, have a little bit of pizzazz to it. And not that the other Jeeps are bad. It's just I have a 42 script Ford, so it'd be nice to have a something with Willys on the back of it. And so really I was looking for kind of a Slat or maybe a GP project, or it's like a, and I wasn't looking that hard. It's just so the week before I got it, on Sunday, I was actually at the Walk Back in Time event in Mexico, Missouri Living History Timeline. I participated at for many years. And I wasn't participating this year, mostly because my work schedule's just been crazy, and my father recently passed, and just dealing with a lot. So anyway, I went up there just to say hi to some friends, and my friend Ryan McCaffrey from Springfield, Illinois, who's a Jeep owner, says, "Hey, there's a Slat for sale on an auction site in Illinois, and it's only sitting at $1,600." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And part of me is like, "Well, that's fascinating," and part of me is like, "Crap, here it is." So he sent me the link, and so I went home. Actually, I went out to lunch, sat there and kind of looked at it for a little while, and then later that day, my girlfriend came over for dinner, and I just said, "Hey, there's this really interesting Jeep for sale over in Illinois," and she's like, "Well, you've got good instincts, and you seem to do pretty well in all your trades and things. So, if you think this is probably a good Jeep, it probably is, and you should seriously consider going for it." So, okay, let me just kind of show you what I was looking at. Okay, so I mean, this was a page from the ad, and then I'll show you the pictures. And it was listed as lot number 152, Jeep, no title. So when the first thing I looked at it, I'm like, "Oh crap, that's a Slat Grill." And then it looks like it's got some kind of odd modifications, but it's got a goofy steering wheel, but it's got the seats and some other stuff. Not horrible. And here's the side. I'm like, okay, well, sides all kind of rotted out, but there's a blackout drive light, there's a windshield, the seats are there. No, okay, this is not horrible. And then here's the back picture, and the first thing that jumps out are these, the spare tire holder, the spare tire, the bumperettes. There's a grab handle, the gas can holder, and again, you can see the Willys stamp on the back. So at this point, I'm starting to become a believer that this is really flat. But again, it's got some mods on it. It's got the seats. You can kind of see there's probably a good sign. There's no glove box, but there's also no data plates. So, okay, this is not horrible. And it looks like there's a pinhole here. So here's the motor. This jumped out at me right away. I'm like, okay, this pancake air cleaner. And generator, kind of a wonky here, and then it's all there. It's got a complete motor, although this head is incorrect, and this early dipstick filler. So this does not look horrible. Another view, kind of the wonky horn going on here. But everything does not look horrible, which is good. And still got the hold down brackets for the headlights. It's got the shroud. I mean, this thing looks pretty complete. So again, here's another view of it. Again, it's got the patch panels on it, but it looks like those are combat rims, which are not correct flat of this age, but not bad. It's not too bad. The bumper looks okay. It isn't, but that's how it looked. And it also has turn signals added. And again, that's the initial. Again, here's the dash. Looking at it, it's got the gauges. It's clearly got the unique one-off Jeep steering wheel here, and hold down latches. There's a vacuum motor for the wipers, but it's got the hold down or the strap. It's got all the switches, and like not bad at all. There's a lot of crud in it, which means the floor is, but I don't think this is that bad. Again, here's the gauges. So anyway, what ended up happening? Just kind of go back to the list. What ends up happening is that next day, I found out about it noonish on Sunday, and the bid ended at like 7:45 p.m. on Monday. I called the auction house. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of interested in the Jeep. I think it's going to go for this kind of money. What are the terms? And he's like, well, pick up a Saturday from 9 to 11, and you got to be here then, and you got to be paid by then. I'm like, okay. So I had to really kind of scramble to pull things together, get money in the right place, and in the event that this thing actually did come through, and everything kind of fell into line. So then the bidding process happened, and I jumped in with 8 minutes left. I think it was at $3,500, and within a couple of minutes it was double that. And then eventually we were within about $100 of my bid limit, and I was still below what I was willing to go for it, but I was getting a little nervous, and it was one of those soft closes. So the thing just reset every time someone put in a new bid. It reset and added 3 minutes, which just makes it crazy. But so I did up my bid. I went a couple $100 higher than I originally wanted to, but I'm like, okay, if it goes at this price, it goes, and it's someone else is going to get it. Clearly, there's at least two people that know what this is. A lot of the bids were just lowball bids, and at the very end, it was pretty clear that me and someone else knew what. Now there was really no. I didn't really know what the serial number was on it. I didn't really know what the motor was. I didn't know what the condition of the motor was. And there just wasn't a lot of time. So I knew that there was some risk involved, but I added up the parts, the grill, the hood, pancake filter, the seats. Worst case, if this thing is just garbage, I could always part it out and get my money back. So I thought I would probably end up. So I ended up getting it, and I was pretty happy at that point. Of course, when it's sort of like you're the dog that chases the car. And once you catch the car, you're not gotta figure out what you're going to do next. So that's kind of where I was at. But I knew I was where to get my trailer, and I got to move some money around and get it to the auction house and some other stuff. So I was handling all that stuff. And then my friend Ken, who we served together after 9/11 at the U.S. Transcom. We both ran different parts of the current intelligence division. He's a retired Coast Guard commander, and he lives here in town. And he just recently got a 43 MB from a friend of mine. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let's go get it." And then I contacted John Shoup. A lot of John. He has several tanks and some other vehicles, and he was on the way. So I contacted him, and he said, "Yeah, sure, I'm in." So flash forward to Friday night. My girlfriend had a big alumni event that she was organizing in a nearby town. So I went to that. I left that about like 10 o'clock, made it home. Barely slept that night, tried to, but I was a little bit excited. And then next morning, Ken showed up at like 5:45, and we got all of our straps and come alongs and all that kind of stuff because we didn't even know if the thing rolled very well. At some point, the auctioneer had told me that he thought the serial number on it was 10 something, which at that point I was just hoping it was, um, it was a 10 serial number, but it could have been a 109. It could have been a 110. So it really isn't like the first 40 production. So my hope was really just to get a 1941 that was restorable. That was like the best. And if I could get something that was pre-Pearl Harbor, that would be even better. So I had a little book of serial numbers so I could quickly look at it and figure it out once I got there. So this is kind of what happened. We picked up Shoop about 7 a.m. or so, 7:15, and then we headed over there. We arrived right around 9:15, 9:20, and it was in a big pole barn building at a fairground, and there's a group of people standing around it. I kind of walked down, I'm like, "Hey, there's my Jeep," and immediately started crawling around. And the first thing I went for was the tag. Let me find the here. Oh, maybe I didn't say. So the body tag was 101109, and I was thrilled. I was so happy because that showed I didn't know exactly when the date of delivery was, but it was pre-Pearl Harbor, and it was quite possibly a November, very early days of. So I was really, really thrilled. And so then I started looking it over, and I looked at the gauges here, and it had the 30 range M meter. It has the correct gas gauge. This is a correct World War speedo, but it's not the slat speedo. I wasn't sure about this one, but I've had someone tell me since then that this is probably correct. Um, so I was pretty happy. So then I looked, going around looking at different things, and here was the pintle hook, and it had the right markings on it. It's rusty, and it's had some eye hooks added to it, but that's okay. And it's got a round muffler, although it's in the wrong position. This is probably when they just picked up there, but it was wired on there. And data plates are gone. The transmission was kind of stuck. And I could pretty quickly see that the floor in the front was rotted out, and it was just full of junk. So my goal really was to get it out of there and get on the road as quickly as I can before somebody changes their mind about selling it. And that's pretty much what we here's the blackout drive light with some sort of replacement bulb in it. This was added at some point in its life, so it wouldn't look that way, but there it is. So here we are, we're pushing it out on the trailer. There's a little bit of a ramp here, so I backed the trailer up as level as possible. The three of us, the auctioneer and John and Ken, and then myself at some points, clearly not at this moment, but at other moments, we pushed it and got it set up. And then we actually got it on the trailer, and then we moved it forward. And one of the things that we had to do was I wanted to get everything tied down, and the windshield didn't have any latches on it, and it had that vacuum windshield roller on there, and it had a long arm, and when you tried to tie that down, it poked into the hood. So and clearly the windshield was just a bunch of plexiglass that was stuck on there. So we went ahead and broke the arm off of that because I didn't want to damage the hood. I knew there was just no way we we're going to have time to take that off. So we just bent the arm on it and broke it. And we could get it out, and then we could get on the road. And yeah, we did have the Willys Overland Pirate hats. These actually came from my girlfriend's alumni event before her hometown high school team. So I just kind of turned them inside out and drew Willys Overland on them. Their crew. This is actually when we stopped in the nearby town just to get and start heading back. So we went about 30 miles or 20 miles, and we stopped in Alton, Illinois at Fast Eddie's Bon Air. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of a famous warehouse. Bikers and people stopped there. They had a nice parking lot, and everything was good. When we got there, the vehicle was just full of dirt, and the dirt that was on the back riser mostly had blown out, but it had been dry. And while we were in Fast Eddie's, it had started to drip. So we leave Fast Eddie's after a pretty good lunch, and we're driving through St. Louis City. We're up on 270 North, and it's raining, and there's a lot of construction and lane changes and stuff, and I'm just holding my own with the Slat and on my trailer, and I'm driving my F350, and there's an F-150 that's really close to me. And so at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to worry about that guy. I'm just going to do the best I can. And I heard a bang. And the guy had hit his rearview mirror had hit my rearview mirror as he was going faster, and it folded his rear back. It was not fun. So anyway, we continued on, and I dropped John off in Warrenton, and then we continued down the road. Eventually the rain kind of cleared, and then we made it back to my house. And so Ken grabbed his stuff and he went home, and the Slat was back at my house. Now I have kind of a stupid driveway, which is not fun. It's not good for military vehicles, but it's kind of what I do now. Eventually I want to change that, but for now it is what it is. So I'm back home, and I knew that the weather was going to turn bad for the rest of the day. It was a fairly rainy weekend. So I went out and I got a 5-gallon bucket and a dustpan, and then like the head of a broom that has been separated. And I went through and swept, and I got easily 3 gallons of out of the Peep. And at that point, it's pretty clear that the front floor was gone, but the back floor was good. And there's some other issues with it. The toolbox floor rotted out, but the toolbox covers are there. One of the welds is popped, and it's got the two-piece hinge on it, and the correct toolbox covers. It's only got one lock. There's a cut in the back for a trailer light socket, and then buried on the passenger side rear is a tail light, which has been covered over by those panels, so that's still sitting. So anyway, I got all that dirt out of it, and then I grabbed a sheet of plastic, kind of threw it over the Jeep, And then I had this tarp, which had a few little holes in it. So that's why I put the plastic underneath it and then just kind of it all down just to keep them more. And and that's kind of how it set for the rest of the night. I went out there the next day and I had like a 6-gallon pool in the back seat area of the Jeep. So I got all that out of there. And then so that day, later that day, after it was all dried out, I went ahead and took it to Cars of Coffee, which was at a local pizza place. And I just took it on the trailer and sat there and parked. And, people came up and looked at it and talked to them. That was kind of fun. And again, there it is on the trailer. So again, it hasn't moved off the trailer since then. So the next stop was the car wash. So I thought I got it all kind of cleaned out with all the dirt, and I decided I would just hose the thing down and clean it up. And I used power, try and get rid of some of the grease and all the junk and everything that's on it. So obviously, I think all the dirt inside the back of the Jeep went on me at some point. Again, here I am. I'm just covered with it in the car wash. It's all over my arm and stuff. So I went back home and just kind of got cleaned up and let the Jeep dry out. And it was dry that night. So the next day, I ended up taking it to work with me, mostly because I needed to leave work, go get an ODID from my local car mechanic, good guy who has done some really great work for me, reasonable prices, honest, the day is long. So I took it to him, and I just told him, hey, I got something kind of different. And he came out and looked at it and says, oh, wow, this is something. And he actually did my paperwork for free. Actually, the day before, when I got back from Cars and Coffee and going to the car wash, I started looking around for numbers, and I did find 20324. I believe it was 78 is what we decided it was, which would be about the right number. And this is what I could find on the passenger side. The driver's side was not in as good a shape. So then on Monday after work, I called a local wrecking company, towing company, and said, hey, I got something kind of different for you. I'm home the rest of the evening. When you get some free time in your schedule, just come on over and let's get this thing moved into my garage. And that's what we did. And there's actually a video. There's a part A and a part B of the tow truck driver getting it into my garage. He was great. And he just loved the project. And I think the towing company put some of the pictures on their website. Here he is getting ready to move it. And then took a little bit of work, but it actually is, this is where it sits right now in my garage. It's pretty wedged in there. My garage currently has the Slat Grill, my GPW. It has the Bantam trailer. It has that completed John Wood handcart. There's another project John Wood handcart that's kind of stuck over in the corner. There's another one on a shelf that's also waiting. 2 lawnmowers, and then I have a Miata NA that eventually took this spot. So everything is really, really tight in there right now. And so then the next day, then I started working on the title paperwork and getting stuff sent off. And so that's still currently underway, waiting on something from the auctioneer, and then everything should roll from there. And then I can actually get it titled in Missouri. But so it's been real fun the last week because I can't get one end of my garage to the other. So the house from one end, and then through the garage to the other end. The 1/4-ton trailer is going into storage where my WC51 and my Ben Hur trailer is. There's plenty of room out there, so I'll just put it out there for the winter, and that will actually get me some room. And the Jeep is sitting on dollies, so so that'll allow it to move around. inside the garage, and I can actually get some movement on it. So anyway, that's the story of the Slat, and that's how I got it. And it's maybe not the most exciting story, but it is what it is. And this is a Jeep I'm probably gonna be the first one I tried to restore on my own, with a lot of help from other people. But I'm gonna manage it out of my own garage, and then plan to keep it. I'm gonna keep it for a while, a long while. My GPW I've had since 1998, restored in 2002. And my other vehicles, I've had them, pretty long. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the series, and, like and share. And if you don't like it, well, keep it to yourself. Nobody wants to hear that. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.